If it falls on my computer, we're gonna have some issues. The cap on mine, store, go ahead and store. We're live.
We're live.
I don't know how many times I have to.
No. Welcome to Skating Unfiltered with Jazzy Foster and Coach Jeff. I think we're back for season 2, correct?
Yeah, we can go with that.
Yeah, we took a little break because we had a lot going on, and with going down to nationals, residency, worlds, and we had some things going on here that we had to kind of take care of. So took a break, and now we're back. Now, Jasmine has a new feature.
Oh, I do. But I'm only gonna do it when you don't
Well, you
move
might as well
on.
show them what it is, so because and tell them why.
Oh, my new feature, I don't know if I don't know if it'll be able to hear it. But my new feature is when my dad talks too much in a conversation. I don't know
On a topic.
on a topic.
Next topic, please.
So I don't know if it heard that because sometimes it doesn't always.
Well, it's going to take a while for people to know.
It's more for us to be next topic, so you hear it. They don't have to hear it.
No, they can hear it. I think it'd be good.
I don't know because sometimes it's
There's
weird.
a show on
I'm gonna get a button.
ESPN that does
Can
that.
somebody make me a button that just says next topic,
Yeah,
please?
there's
Or
a
it's just like ding. I need a bell. Ding. I like it just like a nice little thing underneath, just says next topic.
okay. Well, how would you like to start off?
I guess I mean, I don't know, like where we left off was we talked about all the speed committee minutes. There hasn't been any new ones posted since August. We are in November now. I know they had a board meeting.
They had a board meeting, and I listened to the whole board meeting, and it was run very well. The one thing I was disappointed, of course, I was only waiting for the speed portion, and speed had 0 new proposals, which I found a little disappointing.
Do they at least like submit their minutes or whatever that they have to do?
Well, they talked about residency, how good it was, and it was good. And of course, they talked about, worlds and everything else, and how we, did much better. And but that was, kind of it. There were no new proposals. Then after the board meeting's over, then the selection process goes out for a vote. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how we got from regional reps to, I know I voted on something, but I don't believe I voted on what is actually in the proposal. So I have to check my.
Well, they did have changed one thing because the proposal that was posted on the regional reps page was wrong because they put a 10K points a limb, which is the 5K points now. So they did have to change that originally for it. But I posted my opinion and views on it on like my YouTube channel and everything like that. I think there could have been better ways for it because you're still going to, in my opinion, end up with the same issues that we had last year. Again, there are two reasonings for it that if you see, the one was because they said that nobody wanted to skate the 100, which isn't always completely true.
Well, that was completely false.
There are some that do not. There are some that are like, oh man, I really don't want to skate the 100, but then they're like, nah, I still do want to skate the 100 with it. I wanted to skate the 100. I didn't know that. I know my teammate that I was skating with for it wanted to skate the 100 as well. We prepared for it. Not only, beforehand, but the days before leading up to it, working on our first couple of steps on our starts for it, keeping our legs loose. When we had the days off between road and the road between 100. The second reasoning was because there's always that are they or are they not on the team for being alternate. I always said taking 8 was a better thing with it. The issue is always, well, what if they get a race? What if they don't get a race? I was on a team when they took 7 and I almost didn't get a race, but I was lucky that was able to skate the 1,000 by the end of it, but I know the feeling of, well, I'm not gonna race a race. And some people like, well, the 1,000's earlier on in track. That's very true, but I was told once I got there, when the race were given out, most likely I won't skate a race. It wasn't that, I wasn't good enough in it, but there were better people for the positions to skate those races. But
I found the one thing that bothers me about the selection process is the attitude that the NGB and some of the officials had towards the sprint races. I mean, granted, you can weight them any way you want to weight them. But I remember, for instance, at the trials, there was hardly any break in between I believe, the heats, the semis, and the finals. And that was one race. And then in the 500, and I went and complained about it. And the response I got was, "Oh, you really want us to do this for 2.5 laps," which I thought was very insulting to me.
that was the 500.
The 500, I thought that was very insulting. And we've got to, if you're going to want people to respect the sport, you've got to respect every athlete in every race.
Well, that was also because it also came down to the fact that they weren't telling us when we were racing. So a lot of us prepared for the final. It was the 500 and we were going to do the final the next hour. So a lot of us were trying to stay loose, prepare for it. And then they were like, oh, no, 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 we're going to race it 4 or 5 hours later, I think it was. And I was just
again, to me, it's a respect thing as far as I'm concerned. But
I do think in some ways maybe there is more to the distance in the sprinters for it, but I skate both of it when it comes to trials for it. I don't think we printed the selection proposal that they had. I know most of it off the top of my head. They put position A is they want it to be specifically 100, which again, being skating the 100 at Worlds, I don't necessarily agree with. The second position was the same thing, time trial specialist, which is your 200 and 100, which my issue is you put the 2 sprint spots back to back. It should have been sprint distance, sprint distance, sprint distance the whole way down for it. So your time trial specialist should have became C, and you should have moved your next distance spot up, or you're going to have this.
Now, is there a possibility that they did that so sprinters would come in, do their sprints, and be able to go home?
No, because you have the 100 last. You always have they purposely have the 100 last because they say it interferes with every other race somehow with it. But in reality,
I would love somebody to explain that to me.
So I can explain it to you right now. So there was a year that I didn't know this happened because again I was only caring about my division in the sense where we apparently had the 100 early on. So that skater got the position A, time trial specialist. So for the rest of the events, they skated for somebody else to get on team because they already were on team, so it did not matter. My thing is if you want to fix that problem, there are issues you can't say, well, you can't skate anymore. You say, you're on team. A lot of people, as soon as you're on team in some countries.
Well, other countries, other countries when you're on team.
That's it. But it's because it's a racing that we pay for along.
Well,
it's a championship.
The problem is there was, Darian and Mikey at internationals proposed to separate outdoor nationals and just have tryouts, just have tryouts. So then there is no championship. So then that argument basically goes away. Now, there is a plus side as a downside that they have to work through, and people were passionate on both sides. And if you separated, for instance, in my situation, I'd have a family that then would have to go down to a bank track twice a year, one for the trials and then one for one for outdoor nationals. I don't know if that's a solution, but I think the fact that they talked about it and had discussion was very healthy. And the problem is we talked about it at indoor nationals, and we have not talked about it since. And that's the problem. It's not an ongoing conversation. And until we have ongoing conversations, how are you, Marcus? How are you, Jeffries? Didn't mean to forget about you guys. Until we have ongoing conversations, it's really not going to get resolved. because then everybody gets in a panic. Oh, we got to get this fixed. And then they make decisions. And then there are loopholes in the decisions and that we don't see until somebody has to look it over on behalf of their skater. But to also, they did say that they talked about they didn't talk about this at the board meeting, but over the speed committee minutes, they did stress that they need to have a better, more transparent way of inviting skaters to the residency. So, people know, so somebody can say, and there was a lot of discussion about that. Okay, you get to go. I beat you, but I didn't get to go
What are we talking about?
for residency.
Oh yeah, that was under committee.
That was in the committee minutes.
That's the one thing they said they took a hit on the list of invites.
Yeah, they took a hit on that, but it was good. It was good. And let's get back to the selection process.
Well, actually, they have it on their committee minutes, which was August 29th, which I guess they posted this one. So the last one we read was July. So August, they talked about the 2025 World Team Selection Process adjustments. They'd like to propose an interim solution to fix some of the issues regarding current selection. Now, this must have been, again, before Worlds. For this, they said our 7th and 8th positions are always source of contention. They're alternates. While we are working on a more permanent solution, if we can make a small adjustment to the current alternate positions and make the 7th and 8th position team members, not alternates, we could replace one of the positions with the 100-meter specialist position that we have been wanting. It eliminates the problem of alternates. Proposal is just for the 2025 while we work on the final. The 100-meter specialist position would need to be the first position placed on the team. We would be using the same race 100 to select more than one position if we don't change anything else. But now they said is having a medal a mandatory thing, because it does set up for skaters to allow their friends to win a race to get a medal. I have been in that scenario where they have team skated specifically so where I wouldn't get the medal and their teammate would get the medal for it. And that would automatically take somebody else off the team that may have more points, scored higher, but they were just right out of reach of that medal for it. And then they said the 100 should be since the 100 specialist is a sprint spot, maybe the other position could be a distance spot. 100 meters should be its own race and not considered for any other positions. I don't believe in that. Work on both proposals. Reminder that we need to get all the changes approved by membership and then board and USOPC. And they said Darian will send out summary. We'll use WhatsApp chat to review and finalize.
Now, I think it's very important to get the word out that you have to vote. Because a lot of people, and I talk to a lot of people, and believe it or not, a lot of people say, well, I'm not voting, because they don't listen anyway.
Well, or they don't have a dog in the fight currently.
Or they don't have a dog in the fight currently. But my response to them was, okay, if you don't vote, and we're down at the trials, and you're like freaking out because things ain't whatever, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to ask you if you voted, and if you didn't vote, I'm going to tell you, you need to go sit down and be quiet. Because people need to get involved. If you want, you need to get involved so people are held accountable for what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Or things are just going to keep the same and they're not going to get any better. You know, it's nothing personal. I mean, I don't understand why people get so personal anyway. I mean, it's about accountability. So make sure you vote. I don't know when it ends.
It ended last Friday.
Oh, because
that's why I made a post. But I also made a post about the one that, because I created my own with X. They're saying 6 or 8. I guess if they're trying to take 8, which I would totally agree with, because not only it makes the roster deeper for it, but it financially can be a little bit easier on the athletes as well. Because we had 4 people in a room the one year. If you have 4 and 4 instead of 2, 2, and 2 and 2, you save more on rooms. But for me with it, I would include the 100 in some of the positions that you already have. I mean, you have a sprint, you have a position called sprint specialist, but you don't have the 100 in the sprint. I did the numbers the one year, and there was someone who they placed in the 100, and if that 100 was in the last position, they would have been on team. But because that 100 wasn't in any of the other position but position A, they didn't make team, and they would have gone to Worlds and probably might have skated the 100. I don't know who else made the team that year with it, but they would have made the team over somebody else who took that last position with it. I mean, for me, if you're going to take position G and F, the only changes I'd make is you already have the 100 in that. That is the position right there.
But don't you think it's funny that they have the names of these positions, but the way the points go, the people in those positions are not, that's not what they were.
Oh, I find, well, that's because we race everything. It's not like it's not like the sprinters just skate the sprint. That's the perfect world would be the sprinters skated the sprinters and the distance skaters skated the distance. Now, I get it. You have to skate the 100 and the 200 for the way we have to lay out for the races.
Yeah.
And that's that. The other thing I find so like kind of crazy is the 1,000 is not in any distant position.
Exactly.
But the 1,000, so many distance skaters skate the race. So what I would have done, and I posted this, so you can go onto my YouTube page, Jazzy Foster, and look at what I did for the one that I put out for my little itty-bitty proposal, if they took 8, if they took 6, whatever it is. But the way I did it is you have position G. It stays the same. If you're going to take 8, you have the 200, the 500, the 1 lap, the 1,000, and the 100 meter. Make that overall sprint specialist. Don't do the whole, you add the 100 by itself, because then people are going to ask, well, why don't you just have the 1,000 by itself? You put so much weight on the 1,000. And then position H, 5K points, 10K points, or 5K points track, 10K points road, 15K limb track, 15K limb road, and the 1,000 meter for your overall distance specialist. Because if the 1,000 meter, even if you took 6, was in the position F, there wouldn't have been the issue that happened when they won the 1,000 and got 2 other medals. They would have been on team then, because the 1,000 the issue is the 1,000 was in the sprint, but she got medals in the distance races. Yep. So the 1,000, in my opinion, should be in both sprint and distance, not just a sprint, because it is shown that it is not just a sprint race anymore. Now I know Duccio won it on the men's side with it. Bart Swings is a distance. I don't know how many times he's won the 1,000 for it. Now I know Maffei won on senior men. I mean, that was crazy. But then you have junior men winning on the distance side.
Well, I suggest that people check out your YouTube channel and watch it a couple times so you get a better understanding, because we have to go on to the next topic.
Oh yeah.
So we got some meets coming up. There's 2 meets. Actually, there's 2.5 meets. There is going to be the Thanksgiving meet in Kentucky, which will be a USA Roller Sports event. It will not be American Roller Sports event. But on Sunday, the Midpoint Series,
Midwest
Series.
Well, I thought it was Midwest Point Series.
Midwest Point Series will be having their league meet on Sunday. So the contacts for the USARS portion are Nick Champa and Gypsy Lucas and Denise Kerr. And for the American Championship side is Chris Keesler.
USRSS. I think Denise is.
I think she is the head. I don't know if she's head ref for Al's head ref. I don't know how that works. Now on Greensboro, they're having their Thanksgiving Classic. It's been going on forever, and Jody and Sandy Peden run that one, and that'll be Thanksgiving weekend too. Both of them will have inlines and quads. Just want to make sure, and I'm sure you can still sign up. Okay, you can still sign up. So those are the 2 meets that are going to be over Thanksgiving, and then after that, of course, it'll be Emerald Coast. And they have sent out their packet.
They have the dates.
I have the dates, and there's an early bird special, and you can, if you sign up by this time, you get this discount, and it goes up as we get closer to the meet.
So register now.
Yep, register early.
What's the dates? The dates are nope, don't know what's the date.
Well, everybody knows where they're at.
January 15th to 21st.
Yeah. There will be, so they're going to do that. We went over the speed committee minutes. Jenny Duke, she has her speed skating support group. They're going, last time I checked, they're still tentatively having some meetings. I don't know if there's Zoom calls. We have to check with her. December 3rd, which is a Tuesday, December 10th and 17th, which is her Tuesdays. I'm not sure about the time. I know she had some problems getting the word out. I was a little disappointed on that she was not able to do this because we're all supposed to be about, promoting skating, the sport. But obviously,
Oh,
if
here
you
it
go look at the post, it didn't, I don't know what happened.
Tuesday, December 3rd.
That's what I said.
No, 10th to 8, 6 to 7:30
Oh, 6 to
Central Time.
6 to 7:30 Central Time.
So that would be 7 to 8:30.
Our time.
Yeah.
So, okay. So she's still working on that. Contact her on Facebook.
The topics include handling pressures and expectations in the sport, practicing mindfulness, learning how to visualize, the importance of self-talk, and learning to turn down noise and building confidence.
So it should be some good topics. I am going to try to definitely listen in. I hope. I don't know how.
Well, it's a maximum of 10 people. You better get in there.
Well, I don't know if you. I got to contact her to find out if you'd like to get an invite or like if you can just listen. I mean, I'd be good just listening. I mean, there's people in there talking.
Well, maybe they don't. I'm just kidding.
I was just being it's good just listen. Now, just what we talked about skating, and Jasmine also said she wanted to make these a little shorter. So now let's talk about.
But sometimes they can go an hour and a half long. But go ahead.
Let's talk about what everybody's been talking about. Indoor nationals. Reno. Now.
Never been to Nevada.
Of course, when they announced it, they said they were going to announce the dates and where it was and the dates. And as everybody's been following, it was between Ocala and Reno. And it's my understanding that Reno had the better deal for USA Roll Sports. Now, a lot of people just don't know how the bidding process works. When you go into nationals, you fill out that paperwork, where you staying, how many people are with you. That is all information that they use to entice a city to host our event. And they do get money for that. USA Roll Sports gets money for that. I think a lot of people do not understand that. And they send out about 20 to 30, contact about 20 to 30 cities every year. And from what I understand, there were 3 or 4. I don't know who the other 2 were, but it was Reno was very interested. Ocala was very interested. Now, the discussion always comes in East Coast, West Coast. And I did post, actually, I did post on my personal page previous nationals, artistic, speed, JO nationals, quad nationals from I think the first one. Which one did I tell you? I think
19 something.
I think it was
1950.
No, 1937 to 2016.
1937 was in Detroit, Michigan.
And a lot of people were like, people that are only been skating a couple years would sit
and
there.
It was speed.
Yeah. People that were skating that have been skating that long, and the argument is that people from the West Coast have to drive to the East Coast or for meets because there aren't a lot of meets on the West Coast, which I think that is maybe they should try to develop skating on the West Coast. Now, before you bite my head off, there have been a lot of rink closures on the West Coast, and there's been a lot of rink closures on the East Coast also.
Well, you got one of the biggest teams on the West Coast.
Yeah, but when you look at the overall where nationals is, and everybody uses the Mississippi River, even though it's not in the center of the country. They'll say, well, 75% of the people are east of Mississippi, which is probably true, and 25% are west of Mississippi, because in a lot of those states, out past the Mississippi, there's not a lot of skating rinks. There's not a lot of people, period, until you get all the way into the West Coast. But you'd be surprised. They did a quick thing, and it was almost as far as there have been more nationals west of the Mississippi than there have been. It's like 55 to 34. And I did post it, and you can look on there.
Philadelphia. What happened in 1945?
We had a war.
Oh, that's what.
We had a war.
My dates are really off.
We had a war. So there.
I thought that lasted years, not just 1 year.
Yeah, well, I think it might have been the height. I don't know exactly, but we didn't have nationals. But a lot of people, there's a lot of discussion, and there are a lot of good arguments on both sides. People from the West do have to travel. They're going to have to travel to, most of the skating competitions are the middle of the country to the east. I mean, we're going to have Thanksgiving. I don't think there's an invitation on the West Coast, but there are two.
The invitation on the West Coast?
No, I said I don't think there was an invitation over Thanksgiving.
Oh.
There might be. I just don't know about
I
it.
thought you were just saying general.
But I mean, east of Mississippi, there's two. There's going to be, you have two bank tracks, because I had gotten a message, well, we got to go to the bank track, and the bank track's from the East Coast. And I said, well, I know, but that's really not my fault. I can't do anything about that. They built them over here, and the one in Colorado, of course, which is it's kind of centrally located. I think it is. I drive it. We don't have access to it. So we can go in discussion why we don't have access to it. But I think the argument for the West Coast is a good argument. They do have to travel. They got to get on airplanes, and they got to go to wherever they can skate. Because they have one meet in Washington. That's the battle. And I think that's the only one they have over there.
Well, Robin said they used to have the turkey showdown on the West Coast, but the rink burnt down.
Oh, okay. So I think, but then people on the East Coast will sit there and say, like, everybody said, well, and the other thing is, why isn't it in Lincoln? I said, well, first of all, the Speed Village has changed hands so many times over the last couple of years. So, even if we wanted to have it there, we don't even know if they want us to be there, because it's changed hands so many times. It's not like a constant. Like the Pershing Auditorium, okay, that the same people owned it all the time. Hey, they want to come back.
Well, it was different in ownership just when you first got there, because they were not prepared to, as I don't think as much for us food wise when we got there.
And I questioned that, but when you sit there and think about it, if I can make you all the promises in the world, but once I have you committed and you have it in print that you're coming, I don't necessarily really have to I don't really have to honor it. Oh, and then next year, especially when I might not even own it the next 2 years from now, and then I'll be dealing with somebody else who will make the promises. So Mike says, I believe 70% of the membership is east of the Mississippi. Yeah, you're right. It is. And the one thing that people have to understand is when it's in Lincoln or in the middle of the country, you have options. If it's in Lincoln, you have an option to drive. So a family that mom, dad, two kids skate can get in the car and they can drive to the national championships. And also in Lincoln, because it's not downtown anymore, and everybody now must have a car, because a lot of people just don't understand the history of especially the speed side. When we went to Pershing Auditorium, you could just get on a plane, fly to Lincoln,
and walk down the way.
Get your shuttle to the hotel. There was the Cornhusker, there was the Holiday Inn, the Embassy, and you could walk. You didn't need a car.
It's still the Graduate.
Yeah, the Graduate. You didn't need you could just walk down. You just walk to skate.
That was your warm up.
Now that they moved it out of town, everybody now must have a car. So even if you're flying from the West Coast, you got to get a car.
What was it? The one in Albuquerque, though, it was
right across the street.
That was pretty nice. Yeah. Well, actually, no. If you were some people just walked across because there was a bridge.
Yeah, it had like a catwalk.
Yeah. So there was also that. And there was a lot of food and places to eat.
But I think the important thing that people need to understand, and I think you'll say Rose Sports needs to understand that too, that when you put it in Reno, that 70% of your customer base doesn't have the option to drive to Reno. Now somebody, yeah, you can drive. Yeah, okay. It's gonna take a day and a half. I mean, like 30 some hours. I mean, people forget it's 2 hours from San Francisco.
I think someone says 42 hours from like the top of or where like in Massachusetts.
So if you're getting airline tickets, the economy is not. The economy's still recovering. There's a lot of people. COVID hit a lot of people hard, and you better have $7,000 free on a credit card because it's very difficult to get an airline ticket without a credit card. It's very difficult to rent a car without a credit card. It's very difficult to get a hotel without a credit card. So I think people this year, I have no problem going to Reno. I mean, I'm going to go and I just wherever it is, that's where it is. However, a lot of people do not have that luxury.
Okay.
So, and I just hope that, in the future, I would like to go. I've always said we need to go to the financial center.
1 day.
Yeah, it's 41 hours for Mike. And Jared, it says it's 33 hours. That is going to be a determining factor, and people this year will have to pick and choose. It might not only hurt if there is a drop going to nationals on the speed side. And the other thing is we do have 3 other disciplines. Because when we went to Spokane, there were 2 stories. The actual entry totally for nationals was a bit up, but for speed, it was down.
Mm-hmm.
And that may be the case actually, in Reno. But I think actually if it had been in Reno or Ocala, I think the art side would have been up because there are big clubs, the California clubs, and there is a huge artistic presence in Florida also. But on the speed side. Hey Gary, what's up?
Hello.
Hey Gerard, what's up? I think that we will just have to wait and see.
Well, you stop halfway, you go to Missouri.
And when and also now the American Championships are going to be at the Piccadilly Place in Union, Missouri. Now,
Palace.
What did I say? Oh, Palace.
I don't even know if you're pronouncing that right, and I'm not going to try to pronounce it.
Piccadilly.
Is that actually the name of it?
Pretty sure
Do you know Palace? Well, you said place.
That's right. So I think you're going to, give and also what I think that the NGB or either NGB, that's a lot of skating in one time. We don't get 8-9 weeks vacation anymore. Most people get 2 to 3 weeks. Try going to your boss and say, hey, Mr. Boss, I need 4 weeks off in 45 days. They're going to laugh you out of the place. And sometimes I think we don't understand our customers sometimes because if you only have 2 or 3 weeks, even if you have a lot of money, and some people don't have a lot of money, they got very little money and they have very little time. So I think that a lot of people want to know about the dates because as of the speed committee minutes, they want to have the trials basically at the same time they had them last year. So people need to put their vacation plans in. They need to figure out how they're going to fund this because if it's going to be toward the end of June and then we're going to be speed for whatever reason becomes first and somebody has to go home for maybe only, I don't know, 6-7 days and then they got to take off again, they might be out of a job when they come back. They say, yo, you can go do whatever you want. You want to have 4 weeks off? Why don't you just take the rest of the year off? And that's in prime time when, I know when I worked for Xerox, now I was very fortunate. When I left Xerox, the last year I was at Xerox, I had 9 weeks vacation. You can't get 9 weeks vacation anymore working for Xerox. If you start with Xerox right now, you're maxed out at like 3 weeks and a couple days. And if you look at the people that go, like for instance, the Outdoor Nationals, it's grandparents that are funding this, entrepreneurs, people that own their own businesses, and rink owners and operators that are taking their kids. you see, some first timers there. And retired people like myself that don't work anymore. But it is a very difficult for parents to accommodate that schedule over that short amount of time. And I don't think we think about that. I think sometimes as skating people, we live in a bubble, like in a non-reality. That's kind of the way I look at it. What happened?
You read the comments.
Okay. Why'd you read them?
So, Robin said there have been studies that say that you can have an event in the same city for 2 years, but that attendance drops once you do more than that. I would love to hear if that is what skaters going to nationals believe also. Well, if you do look at it, if you look at the sheet of nationals, it doesn't have the attendance record on there or anything, but it has how long we've been. There's some places around 3 years. The max, I think, like the past 10 years has been 2 years for it. I think we've done like Lincoln twice and they've always gone somewhere else.
I agree. I understand what Robin's saying, but what I would add to that is other sports. Football starts in September and it's done in January. Baseball starts at this time and it's done. Basketball, skating never stops. It never stops.
Well, basketball now, the way they do it is like they have their in-season leagues, out-of-season leagues.
But what
they
I'm
got
saying
these
is, I'm
leagues
talking
and-
about the top.
No, that's what I'm talking about. They have all these
Yeah,
different ones during the
they
just
have-
because they're trying to
What
compete with the other
What
stuff.
I'm saying is the NBA starts at this time and it's over.
The main season, yes.
Okay, and what I'm saying is in skating, it never stops. Parents don't get a break financially, they don't get a break time-wise. And we now, the last couple of years, we've been packing it. At least in the past, we went to outdoor nationals in the middle of May. We gave parents a break. Now, everybody said, well, you got school and everything else. And that's
We
true.
did it before though.
But we went in the middle of May, and you had almost a whole month, rest of May. You had the what is that, Memorial Day weekend, June, July, and we could actually raise some money, or people could raise some money. So if they were going to go to outdoor, go to Worlds, they'd have some money. Now there's very little opportunity. I mean, we raised what, $4,000 last year, but you can't really, you just can't do it. And you see what Mike said to me.
Okay, well,
See,
I know. Mike said he really enjoys Spokane. On average, we bring 25 to Series Skates Nationals. That year we brought 4, but he had a good time. That's because y'all riding them scooters everywhere throughout the city. Everybody was riding them scooters. I wasn't allowed to get on one.
I don't remember you had to get on.
Yeah, no, you said because someone I think crashed one. And you're like, you ain't getting on one of those. I was like, okay.
And Mike, don't be a hater, man. Just because I made my job look easy. I was there for 45 years. You're gonna say I didn't work.
You know what? I didn't think so either. The only time I felt when he was working is when he showed up at my school to fix the printer. And I was like, oh, there's my dad.
That's because they ran so good. What do you want me to do?
Obviously not if they kept breaking down.
No, I don't think so.
You said, Jeff, I think the committee needs to look at the finances it costs for an average working family. And just like you said, vacation time, my employees only get 1 week of vacation their first year. I said, we have no opportunity to build our bank accounts and recover in between them.
Oh, he's correct. We need to look at the demographics. If you're getting your skaters from roller rinks or outside, we need to really know who the customer is, know their demographics, know how much money they actually have to spend. Because I would say if you're making $100,000, if you're gross $100,000 a year, which is that's double, for a family, that's double the average income of Americans. The average Americans probably make about between 55 and $60,000. Now you make $100,000. You don't make $100,000. You take home about 75. That's what you take home. And then you put in all these trips, and that erodes down to, and with mortgages and the price of everything else, it's very difficult. it's for people to go. People do not go. Some people, if you go to a meeting, they'll treat you good. Okay, you don't go back. That's it. I'm not going there because they treat me like crap. I'm not going back. But some people, they want to go. They would love to go everywhere, but it's just not. It's dreamland. And until we sit there and try to figure out, and in the savings that we get from going to these different venues, some people have said, well, they're not lowering our price. I said, well, they're not making them higher either. So like if we get outdoor nationals for free, is the NGB going to lower my entry fee? I don't think so. Now that may help them from being able to I may stop them from being able to
Click the thing.
it doesn't, it won't click. Okay. Oh, sorry.
You
So
don't
it
know how to
may
work your phone.
so I don't even I don't know the answers
Put your
to
phone
that.
on do not disturb.
But I do think that, like I said, we got to work on it. We got to understand what our customer, what the limitations are. But we are really putting a big burden on our membership with money at the end of the year. We're killing them. I mean, it doesn't. I don't care if you're skating American Championships, USARs, you got outdoor nationals, indoor nationals, American Championships. Then we added a residency. And then if you make it that far, you got to go to Worlds. You could be spending $35,000 over 2 months. And Mike said, I would love to take
Shorter
short
breaks
breaks
at and maybe condense the schedule a bit. It's too long. And Gary said, bottom line, the committee needs to look at the big picture, not just a snapshot. I do think the break should be just a little bit shorter, but then you have to look at the years where those breaks are what stays because something happened and we had to, condense something else. I mean, you have to think like Iowa, for example. We had those breaks, and by the end of it, there were no breaks because of everything that happened over time. So that's also built in case of scenarios. Now, you could say, if we have the break, we'll cut it a little bit shorter, or we do.
Yeah, but I think what Mike is saying, and I've always said this, the NGP puts on one meet a year. They put on indoor
I
nationals.
do think they should be shorter.
Wait. They've been doing it since 1937. There's no excuse for not getting it pretty good. There's no way we're sitting there and take a 6 hour break. And then the next day take a 2-3 hour break. And then take another, and then the last day we are killing these kids.
There are no breaks. I will admit
We
the
are
last
killing
day
these
is
kids.
bad.
That is totally ridiculous. It's the only job that we have to do is put on nationals. Speed puts on 2 nationals. They put on an indoor nationals, they put on an outdoor nationals. But we've been doing it since 1937. Okay, we know how many members we have. It's not like we got 600 members and 400 are going to join at the last minute. We know with the max number of people going to, there's really no excuse. Comes down to accountability. And we just got to be accountable. We just got to be accountable. And like I said, art people, they're going to go to Reno. I would love to do what they do. They go do their thing in the morning, and then they're done, and they can go to the casinos and everything else. But if you're on the speed side, you're in that building.
Middle of the day.
You're in that building from the time it starts. If your kids are doing well, they're getting out heats. They're going into quarterfinals. They're going into semifinals, and they're going into finals. You're not going to be able. You're not going to be able to go anywhere. You're not going to be able to go anywhere. So I don't get. I've been to nationals since 1977. I've seen nothing. I don't care what town I was in. I didn't see anything except for the inside of that Coliseum.
I did, but that's because I stayed out the last day.
And that's it. So I'm just saying that, there are, I think it's time that speed breaks away from and has their own event somewhere else. That's what I personally feel, because art's got their needs and we have our needs.
And they're different.
And it's different. And this is a committee run organization. And eventually, years down the road, USA Roller Sports in Lincoln is going to be an administrative entity, and they're going to say, Speed, this is how much it costs for you guys to do your thing, and that's it. This whole thing of having it all in one place pretty soon, I'm telling you, it's going to go away. They don't want to do it. I know they don't want to do it, and I understand why they don't want to do it, but it's going to have to happen because they're going to 1 year they're going to get somebody upset, and people are not going to complain online. They're not going to say anything. They just ain't going to show up, and then it'll just be
Your thing's
what happened.
going off. Tell Speedy we said hi as well, and we miss him being on the team and skating.
I haven't seen any of his.
I have.
Oh, I ain't seen him.
He just like broke a record not too long ago.
Oh.
Mike Godin said our adult skaters were actually crying last year. What we did to the athletes was criminal. Why you gotta put me on the spot like that, Mike? He said the last day of release. Gary says, I have a question, Jeff.
Sure.
Well, while he's asking the question, Mike, why you gotta call us all out like that? We were tired. We're getting older. You're running against. I find this hilarious to say because some of the people are like, you keep saying you're old and you're not old. The people I skate against, my dog is older than. Granted, my dog is old, but
Yeah, there were.
a lot of the people I skate against internationals are younger than my dog. He said Jalen was crying also. It was definitely intense because Jalen and I, we were in almost every relay for it. 2 mixed, 3 mixed, 4 mixed, 2-person, 3-person, and 4-person. And I don't know why. They did 2 relay finals one night when they should have just done the 3-girl. But they ran the 3-girl on the second day with our 2 mixed, 3 mixed, and 4 mixed. And I was dying right before the 3-girl. Like, I had nothing left.
And we were in most of the finals too. And then I just
God, breaking down in the freaking.
It was just to me, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, we've been doing this. We should be doing better. To me, there is no excuse for it to be the way it is. And I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, it's I don't know.
Yeah, injury wise, I mean, you run so much to the ground, so much you get a limited recovery time. Because I remember we had a race, and then 20 minutes later we had the next race. But what made it worse is that the 3 mixes were by time and not by placement. That's what killed a lot of the athletes because they said, well, we're just doing it so everyone's by time. It's winner and then by time. Yeah. So we were like, okay, so we only have 1 round to go through. Then we'll just go to the final. Then they said, no. You have 2 rounds to go through. You have to. So we raced basically 2 finals before we got to the actual final of the 3 mixed for it as well with the 3 girls because there were so many. And that we were at the time, we were like, so you're telling me if we had 3 heats and it was 4 to qualify, we went to the next round, it would have been a semi. And then the next round would have been the final. So reality, it didn't take away any time. And that's what we were like, so why don't we just do it by placement and not by time? Why are we running all by time if you're still having that round that you said you wanted to get rid of?
Well, I think that they were sitting there saying that it was more entertaining to watch. And I said, well, when you get somebody to watch it, make it entertaining. But until then, let's have a little bit more respect for the athlete.
Entertaining? That hurt.
I get it. But when we're on national TV somewhere,
we're not on national TV.
Then you can make it entertaining. But until then, let's build the sport and let's respect our athletes and do what's best for them for a change instead of doing what's best for yourselves. Because,
I don't even know how it's best for themselves in the sense because it didn't do what you wanted them to do, which was have less rounds.
Now, the other thing is, while we're talking about the schedule, they didn't propose it for, like I said, the speed committee put out no proposals. What happened to the novice? What happened to novice? Bringing that back and we're gonna do it in our downtime and all. What happened to all that? It just kind of like went away. And those are things that I kind of just don't understand. I don't understand.
They had this obviously, I don't know how this is July. They had the IDN recap ideas. I guess we missed these. I don't know. I thought we went over these.
Well, they are going to try to do, I did hear that they were going to try to help with the awards. They're going to try to give the awards out like they do at the American Championships for the individual races, like in a separate room. and then only do the overalls later at night to kind of cut down so we're not there as long. That's one thing I had heard they were going to try to do.
It said athlete official perspective ran smoothly. Warm-ups could be split up as an official liked the break. The officials liked the breaks. Well, as an athlete, I got ran to the ground the last 2 days on relays. So
Well, we were sitting there watching
they said coach perspective, event was on time. The last 2 relay days were tough with long days. Okay, they did say that. Speed committee didn't get to sign off on the schedule. Could have helped Tasha if we had seen it. Awards for every race is time consuming. Maybe have another place to do awards and only do overall awards.
Yeah.
Breaks in the middle of the day are good. Allows the athletes to rest before finals. Rotate officials through the video review. That's another thing. Video review. And they said coach less parent perspective. Too many events. Do we need all the 4s and all the 3s? Get rid of the 4-person, just the 3-person. I don't really care which one.
Well, I think, like I said, they need to have the problem.
Well, they added,
with
never took away.
The problem is we don't have ongoing discussion. We don't have ongoing discussion, and people get, I hate to say it, I'm just going to say it, they get all butthurt.
Negative.
If you just make suggestions, say, why can't we do better? Everybody gets all butthurt.
We're not saying that you're doing bad. We're saying how can we improve?
Yeah, nobody, none of when somebody suggests something, it's not personal, but right away, that's what everybody takes it all personal and gets all, and I don't even know how, seriously, because I don't know how they function in their regular jobs, because you can't do that in your regular job. I could never do that. If I have 100 people working for me and we got a project to do, and we can't, the number one thing is we all want to keep our jobs and we all want to get paid for the next year. So, sometimes we got to put all that stuff aside, but
okay, well, do that. Back to it. They said coach last parent effective. They said too many events. Some didn't skate races to save legs. What is best for athletes? Having a break in the middle of the day before finals is important. Food could have been better. Maybe food trucks. Refereeing was good. Coaches were disrespectful to officials and need to address some official classes for coaches to understand rules/etiquette. Relay events need to be reviewed and decide what we should keep. Award somewhere else. Pilot program, did it meet standards? I'm guessing that's the grand premiere.
Well, I would say too, there's some officials
that are not as respectful to the
they need
coaches.
to learn some respect also. I mean, a coach is, and I've talked to officials that officiate skating in other sports, and they say skating is a cakewalk compared to like basketball, football, and some other sports. But I think the officials, respect gains respect. So, and I think that, when you go up and talk to somebody, they're already rolling their eyes because they don't want to hear what you got to say. I think that's a problem in itself. So, I mean, we're just trying to do what's best for our athletes, and we all got our jobs to do.
Just as you have to do a job as an official, the coaches have to do a job as a coach. I mean, you can ask me the two of us. I was officiating meets that he was coaching. If we had to have a conversation, I was the official, he was the coach. There was nothing else in between that. Either I made a call he didn't like, I had to explain it, and that was that.
And I've had that close up with Justin too.
Yeah. He called me back on a start.
I had that. We've had that with I get that part. But like I've always explained, Justin, you got a job to do, I got a job to do. Nothing personal.
So they did say running 3 persons by time meant that you had to go all out every lap and couldn't save legs. Okay, so maybe
I'm reading this.
So,
all right, Gary, we'll have to talk offline. And then...
No, he just said, how long does the committee hold their positions, and how are the positions? How are their positions chosen? So it's just like every year, some positions are open, some are not. Like this year, they had 2 athlete positions open for speed. So I put in, as well as a lot of other athletes. If you actually go on USARS, you'll see when their term expires. Actually, I don't know if it's updated though, because some they say some should have expired a while ago, and some are still to be determined. So,
and getting in that committee is like breaking the glass ceiling, buddy.
I get told every year, put in for the speed committee for an athlete. You be good. Put in for the speed committee for the athlete. I think it's been year 5 at this point.
And every year, it's a big old no.
I get it every, and I don't know. But anyways, They said if you have a live feed, it needs to work. You can't hear anything and video is bad. Need someone on the live feed to commentate, which they used to have Ross do specifically on that. So they can get a few pointers from NSC on how to do better. Start later in the morning, shorter breaks, end early. I'd love to start later in the morning, especially if it's like tweets for some people. Timing chips that would be good in favor of team practice, clarifying warm-up blocks during the events, who will be warming up in each block. On the practice day, consider letting teams practice instead of divisions. Understand the scheduling difficulties, need to get the rule committee together to go through every rule. Set up room with photographer and podiums and do awards there. Live feed is a bare minimum. Internet provider did not do a good job. We can't get enough volunteers to cover all the video. If we do video review, we don't want officials to feel disrespected if calls get picked apart. Well, that right there, that's the reason for the video review. I mean, how many NFL reps made a call and then the call got overturned?
Yeah, but but it is that's
but my question is, what do you mean feel disrespected? Like, oh, because their call got overturned because they were wrong? My thing
well,
is,
I think people, I mean, we've made a lot of decisions. We went to standing referees, which has really hurt us. And when they came up with standing referees, the individuals have said that when we go to standing referees, we're going to have way more referees than we know what to do with. And we all knew that that was a bunch of crap. And we all knew the reason why they went to stand referees is to preserve themselves.
yeah,
It had
I mean,
nothing,
and
and they lost so many people.
You lost all the young ones.
They lost all of the people that were in there because they didn't want to do it. They said, "I'm not coming here to stand around." And then when it said you had the option to roll, we had referees say we're not rolling. Even if referees bought their skates, said they were willing to roll around for certain events, they were still told no. It's the hierarchy. I mean, that's just the way it was. And there's nothing you could do about it. So now we are where we're at. We got some good referees out there. But what happens is we're not bringing any real new young ones in because it's I remember, like I said, I remember when Justin was starting. I mean, they were definitely trying to keep him out.
Took him forever to get his
And
number.
it took him forever. And then finally, I'm just like, really? Until he was doing more invitationals than the national referees were doing. But he couldn't do nationals. But now, it didn't take him long. Okay, he's just raising his kids and he's good.
I'm trying to get him back.
So I don't, what is,
He says, I don't ever see Al have any issues, has respectful in every way. You rarely see Al have issues.
Well, that's the
That's
thing.
because Al, doesn't he referee basketball as well?
Yeah, Al
He's
gets,
seen worse things.
yeah,
and
he
he's like, "I'm good."
gets it. And he knows that, we're just, because there were many times that Al and I didn't agree on a call. And we said, and he come up and said, yeah, we're good. I plead my case. Sometimes I won, sometimes nope.
Al and I talk about calls sometimes. There's a picture, I think, of me and Al. Like, I'm literally pointing at something and I'm like, Al, really? Like, I was either saying it should have or it shouldn't have been a call. And we were just talking about it on the line. And he goes, well, what would you have done, official? And I'm like, I was trying to just.
Oh, that's kind of discussion you need to have. But, when everybody, and because there is such a financial investment, that's why people get so emotional. I mean, it is a financial investment. So I think, but I think it was good. I don't know when we're going to have the next one, but I don't think we're going to go every week. I think we're just going to.
Next
I don't
one
know.
will probably I don't know because the next one will probably be in Florida.
Yeah, we'll probably wait. We'll probably do a recap of all the meets. Try to get the information of who plays, and I mean not just the senior people, like the little other people. Try to find out who plays what, because that's the other thing too. Nobody. We don't. I was looking at the site, the team. I mean, it's so.
Our team for Team USA?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean how they used to have actual profiles of each Team USA member and now it's just, okay, this is the list of names. Like it's just to be honest, it just feels like a name. If you were like what it used to be is you had the profile and they said, where you went to school, what you're doing now, your work, how many been on team, where you're from.
And then the thing,
And now it's just a name.
and before they say, well, we don't have the people to do that, I'm going to tell you, you had volunteers that were helping you, and you got rid of them.
It was me at the time. I was gathering, and people on Team USA can ask. I was gathering all of their headshots at the time for it, and we want to get the headshots first, and then do the names and the profiles, because we've had a lot of the profiles from past years for it already, and we needed mostly pictures for some with it, and I still have the file on my computer, but. I think it was like 2 months later, they're like, oh yeah, we don't need you as a committee. And that was that, because I didn't even know we were supposed to be on, I guess, like a board committee, whatever it was with it. They were like, oh, you're supposed to.
You like to see bios. Whose bio?
The Team USA bio. It was like all.
Oh yeah, there's, like I said, I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
Well, I will say, like, Danielle Springer did the like video bios of all of us, but
every team at Worlds,
every member with it. She didn't do it this year with it, but actually, well, there were different people.
Yeah,
this year
different people this year
doing the video.
But she did. She interviewed. Because I remember
she interviewed everyone. Half time I was just there standing.
Everybody, every time did everybody. But like like I said, the website,
but the website is better. The website
better.
is different because you go there more for the information. That is for when we're at Worlds specifically for it. Yeah. The Team USA is for the entire time. Like there are people that were on it that haven't skated in years when I saw it. And I'm just like, I know. Night, Mike.
All right, well, we're going to bed too.
Well, I'm not going to bed.
I'm going to watch Monday Night Football.
What is it? Cowboys versus Texans?
Oh, I don't know.
I think so. They said CeeDee Lamb versus...
No.
I don't know his name.
Yes, Gary Mills.
Oh, yeah. It's Texans versus Cowboys.
So.
Which Texas team is going to win? I'm going to guess the Texans because Cowboys suck right now.
The Cowboys
Cowboys are not making no playoffs. Steelers Nation. Yeah, we beat Baltimore with no touchdowns either.
Oh, we got to come up with something because the Eagles do play the Steelers this year. I don't know what night it is.
It's the 21st. And then we play the Chiefs the 25th.
Wait a minute, 21st of December?
Yes. And then we play the Chiefs 4 days later on Christmas Day, which is on Netflix, by the way.
Oh.
Who's 14-0? Oh, 14-0 against Baltimore.
Well, who's winning?
Oh, right now, I'm going to guess Texans. Any hope for outdoor will soon? We're working on it. We're all working on it. I've been in touch with Kurt for it, but there's a lot going on.
Especially with the way the wheel manufacturer shuffle thing kind of.
There's a lot of behind the scenes that people don't always know about.
So there's a lot going on.
There's a lot.
Well, listen, we're going to get out of here. Appreciate you all coming in. And hopefully we'll do better. And hopefully the Texans are. Hopefully we will, try to help each other out.
I had to drop my kicker, who was a Dallas kicker, because I couldn't even get them to the dang end of the field for a field goal range to kick the dang field goal. But I don't know why, because I like Boswell better.
Next topic.
They said the Birds will take the L.
Okay, we'll see.
I don't know, because your offense, it's like, did you win or lose against Baltimore? Did you play Baltimore yet?
No.
Really?
No, we didn't play Baltimore. I don't think so.
I mean, Baltimore was strong. We beat them. Our defense got them. You guys don't have a good offense compared to our defense.
Yeah, but I'm going to just tell you, you won, but you didn't even score a touchdown.
What does that say, though? Our defense was so good. Even they got 2 touchdowns and still lost.
You could not.
Look, we just got to work on the finish. But if you can't even get through,
I don't know what's going on with Russell, because I think Pickett's is other. I mean, not Pickett's. What's his name?
Fields.
Fields is playing, I think, this week.
No, I don't. Well, maybe because it's against the Browns and they lost their main quarterback. What was it, Watson?
Yeah, so we'll see. So, all right. Good night, everybody.
You said didn't need TDs. Yeah.
Okay.
Still beat you. Didn't need.
Skate fast.
Unless.
Bye.
Bye.